Cameron Chardukian here with the Daily Developer Show, the show where we talk every single day about how you can become a better developer and how you can optimize your lifestyle as a developer. Of course, to even become a developer in the first place, at least an employable developer or one that's capable of freelancing or starting their own web development business, you're going to need to build up some skills. And in order to do that, you're going to have to put in the hours of grinding, building projects, studying the syntax of a language, and basically just doing deliberate practice so you can improve upon your skills. Of course, the problem with this is that this is a serious time commitment. When we're talking about how long does it take to learn to code to an employable level or a level of competency, we are talking in the many hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours. We might be saying this might be 1,000 or 1,500 hours in order to reach a level of true competency, or at least competency for a junior position. So that could mean you got to do this full time for 6+ months to be able to get to that level. So, seeing as we're going to need a lot of time, let's go into some of the ways that you could be wasting your time and how you can cut back on time wasting. Now, the first way a lot of people waste time is commuting. Now, I understand that commuting is something that many of us have to do. We have to go to our jobs. Maybe that requires 15 minutes. Maybe that requires 30 minutes. Ideally, if possible, it would be great if you could use a form of public transportation. That way, during your commute, you could do some Codecademy exercises, or you could watch some video about floating points in JavaScript. So you could learn some new subject. You could still study while you're on your commute. If you can't do that and you're forced to walk or drive, however, another thing you can do to make better use of your commute and to waste less time is, instead of listening to music, you could listen to podcasts about software development. Now, this is not going to result in you, it might be difficult to learn how to code just listening to podcasts, but it will make you more familiar with the quote-unquote lingo that developers use, so you can at least be more conversational with them, and it will keep you thinking about development. It'll make it more a part of your life, and ideally, you choose a podcast or YouTube videos that you're listening to where the people are passionate about what they're talking about, and that will be infectious, and it'll make you more passionate too. All right, let's continue. Number 2, the second way many people waste time is gossiping. Listen, we're trying to do a difficult task here in learning to code. This is something that's definitely achievable. Listen, I'm not saying you're going to practice. Practice, we're talking about practice. I'm not saying you're going to become the next Allen Iverson or LeBron James. But learning to code is something that's achievable. Those becoming an NBA star, if you don't have the right genetics, it's just not possible for you. If you're 5'6" and you can't jump, and nobody in your family has fast twitch muscles, you're never going to get there. But learning to code, you might not be the next Mark Zuckerberg, but you can make mid-5 figures, maybe even 6 figures after a few years in the industry. So, listen, we're trying to do something that's difficult. So we don't have time to talk about other people. We don't have time to talk about what, for example, we don't have time to gossip about where is Kyrie Irving going next year, or we don't have time to talk about what is Susie doing down in that cubicle over there. Did you see somebody's new Facebook picture? Oh, did you hear that these people just got engaged? We don't have time to talk about this. We need to learn. We need to put our time and energy into learning code if we're going to have a chance of being successful with this. So don't gossip. If talking about something will not help you become friends with somebody important, it will not help you dramatically lower your level of stress, it will not help you better yourself in some way, throw it out. We don't have time for that. Now, moving on. Number 3 way that people waste time. Whoa. It is watching TV. Now, I get that people that are more of my generation, we waste less time watching TV, and maybe that time goes to Netflix, for example. But listen, this is a huge time killer. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's something like the average person watches 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a day of television. That's like a part-time job. You're going to tell me you're going to be successful. You're going to learn how to code. You're going to learn all these new JavaScript frameworks when you're spending like 20% of your week or 15% of your week in front of the TV. It ain't happening. Throw your TV out. Cut the cords. Dude, I don't care if you've got a 54-inch high-definition TV. You can go give that to Goodwill. Get that out of your house. You're wasting time. Cut the cable. You're going to save money, and you're going to have more time to do what you need to do, which is, if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you're watching this video for a reason. You're watching this video because coding is the number one, or at least one of the most important things in your life. So, given that that is the case, given that is the audience we're talking to here, knock this out, get rid of the TV. Now, number 4, I forgot to change number 3, that was number 3. Number 4 is hanging out with either drifters or negative people. This is something that we just absolutely do not have time for. First of all, what is the problem with drifters? Maybe somebody that's fun to hang out with, but they don't really have any ambitions in life. They're not really going anywhere. Listen, people are wired differently, or they've had different life influences that have led to them making the choices that they're going to make. But understand that you are not an island. Everyone that's around you, they are influencing you. So, given that that is the case, you know what they say, you are the 5 people you surround yourself with. Look at what your priorities and goals are in life. And if you just ask yourself the question, if my life looked like that person's life, would I still want to hang out with them? If my future life looked like either where they're at now or where they're going, would I be happy about that? And if your answer is no, they've got to go. At the very least, they need to be on the periphery of your social circle. Listen, maybe you are dating somebody that doesn't have a lot of ambition. That's not necessarily necessary. Maybe they'll support you in other ways. But if we're talking about your friends, and your friends just want to go smoke some weed and watch the football game, listen, that's like toxic, man. You can't be listening to that. Not because there's anything wrong with that, but that's not in alignment with what your goals are. So if you allow that in, you're going to start rationalizing to yourself, oh, you know what? Maybe I'm just really uptight. I don't need to be working this hard. What am I doing? So that's why, dude, get these drifters out of here. Get those drifters out of your life. We don't want to be hanging out with them. But now let's talk about negative people. Why is it important not to hang out with negative people? If you're hanging out with negative people, once they hear about your goals or ambitions, they know that you want to transition from being somebody that's working in retail to somebody that's going to be moving up into a respected position in the world, a web developer or a software developer. They might tell you stuff like, oh, dude, that kind of work just isn't for people like us. Or they might tell you, dude, why are you wasting your time? You're not going to be able to do that. And when you are in the zone, those comments will just bounce off you, and you're just like, yeah, listen, I'm not even going to process that. But there are going to be days when, whether that's feeling sick, like today, I've had food poisoning the last day, so if I heard somebody say, like, dude, just give up, maybe I'm like, oh, dude, maybe I will give up. If you're having a bad day and you hear one of those comments, that could be your downfall. And it only takes something like this to happen one time, and then you get out of the zone. And that could set if you hear a negative comment and you stop practicing for a month, that's going to set you back at least a month, maybe even 5 to 6 weeks, because you have to go review the stuff that you've forgotten, or potentially forever. So listen, cut those people out of your life. if at all possible. And I know sometimes people say, oh, but family's family. Listen, at least for the time being, try to hang out with them less. Just say, hey, listen, I'm going through a really busy time in my life. I know we're not hanging out much right now, but I'll catch you next year. And then after you've gotten your job, then you can go talk to them, because then you've already validated your goals and ambitions, and it's much harder for them to tear you down. Let's continue. Reason number 5 that you're wasting time and how to get out of that. Number 5 is procrastination. Listen, something that's very, very insidious about software development is that a lot of the times the projects we're working on, the scope of them is so large. By the scope of them, I mean what we need to accomplish or build seems so overwhelming that it's easy not to get started. Or, hey, just even learning to code in general, that can be overwhelming too. We say, hey, if I tell you, oh, dude, yeah, you can do it. It's just going to take 1,000 or 1,500 hours. You might never get started. You say, oh, dude, that's going to take forever. Well, it will take forever if you never get started. But, so what do we do here about procrastination? Listen, here's the way you do it. You will learn this as you get more experience with software development. And by no means am I the most experienced person. But just in the several hundred hours I've been practicing web development, I've seen that one of the biggest benefits of learning to program or learning to develop applications is that you learn how to take a big problem and to break it down into these small steps or user stories or whatnot. These small things that you have to accomplish, and by having all these small things that you have to accomplish on the way to your goal, these little milestones will help give you motivation to proceed and take action. Whereas if you just look at the whole project as a whole, you'll never get started. So my advice for you is, if you're struggling with procrastination, it could be you don't have a compelling reason or motivation for doing what you're doing. In the case of learning code, listen, maybe the motivation is not just you want to stack the fat cash, but you can reframe things where it's not just stacking fat cash. It's potentially taking care of your aging parents or your own potential family that you will start in the future. Or if you already have a family, making sure that little Sally, she can go to ballet lessons and she doesn't have to be heartbroken that her parents cannot provide for her. And I'm not putting anybody down. I'm saying that to myself because I'm thinking right now, I'm not in a position where if I had children, they would be able to go do ballet and all those expensive activities. So whether that's you or I'm just talking to myself here, have a compelling reason, but also break things down into minuscule tasks so that you can gain momentum and gain confidence, and that will propel you to taking consistent action, and that will lead you to your goal of learning to code. All right, now we're on to number 6. Number 6 thing that you could be wasting time on is putting others down. Listen, just like I said that one of the issues was negative people being negative to you, another thing to think about is, are you putting other people down? You see that they're trying to accomplish something big, and that makes you feel insecure about yourself, so you're the person that's telling them, yeah, you'll never achieve that. People like us, we don't do that kind of work. Are you the person that says that? If you are, you need to cut that down immediately, because you don't have time. You don't have excess energy that you can be putting towards that. We need to be putting all our focus on learning to code if we're going to be successful with this goal. And the other thing is, negativity breeds more negativity. So if you have a negative attitude, you're going to be attracting people that are also going to be in that same mind state. And that will not be constructive either. Now, we're on to number 7. This is a long video. Number 7 is trying to change people. Now, what is the problem with trying to change people? Listen, in the same way that I'm talking to you and I'm giving you advice, the reason I'm giving you this advice is because I think of it as a form of permission marketing, the term that Seth Godin he coined. By watching this video, you're implicitly giving me permission to give you my opinion. But that was you gave me permission to give your opinion. And if you stop giving me your permission to give you my opinion, you'll stop watching the video, which is why I can talk in this way to you, where I'm really stressing my thoughts and what I think you need to do to have a better chance of achieving your goal and wasting less time along the way. But you can't just go to random people or even people that are in your life and have been in your life for a while and just tell them what to start doing. Do not try to change people until they are ready to be changed. Listen, you might see that this golden opportunity in learning to code, and you might tell your friend, hey dude, listen, if we go hard at this for 6 months or a year, instead of making $12 an hour, we can go make $50,000 or $60,000 a year, and we can get benefits, and we can take care of our families better. If they're ready, if they're interested in this opportunity and they're ready, they'll let you know after you say that. But you can't continue to be pushy about this. Hey dude, I've been learning to code. Why aren't you learning yet, dude? Don't you see this? You can't be talking like that, because people will change when they are ready to change. You can't change people. So there's no point trying to, because in fact, most of the time, all that this will accomplish is them leading them to resent you. All right, now we're on to number 8. Now we're going to go into 10 reasons today, but now we're on number 8. Now, number 8 is internet addiction. This is huge. It's a huge issue I've seen in many people, including myself included. I get sucked into the Reddit rabbit hole too. But internet addiction, this could be an issue whether it is porn, mindless browsing, or social media, or online gaming. Any of those things you can get caught into, and then you've lost half your day. Like, seriously, isn't it strange how when you're learning to code, like, sometimes it just feels like, oh, dude, I'm so tired. Oh, dude, I was only learning for 21 minutes? And you're just absolutely exhausted. But then you can, after those 21 minutes, you can then go on Facebook, and then it's been 2 hours, and the time just flew by. So what I'm saying is, be very careful about your internet usage. If you need to use the internet, it may be a smart idea to get your phone and to set an alarm on your phone for how long you're going to use the internet before you actually start using it. And then once those 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 20 minutes, once your free internet usage time has been used up, then you put the computer down, you put the phone down, whatever, you put it into airplane mode, you turn Wi-Fi off, you do whatever you need to do to make sure that you don't get sucked into that rabbit hole, because that's one of the easiest ways in the world to waste time. All right, now we are on number 9. We're on the home stretch, baby. Number 9 is kind of related to the last point, but number 9 is notifications. Why do I say notifications are a waste of time? There have been studies conducted that our best work is done when we are in a flow state, when we're focused, we're deeply focused at the task at hand. That's when we're going to learn code the most effectively, or that's when we're going to produce the highest quality of work. But the problem is, okay, so we've got our phone. What I recommend you do is you've got your phone, and I recommend you go to airplane mode. They've got airplane mode over here. Use that. This is not, if your job is like you're a firefighter or something, obviously don't use that. But assuming you don't absolutely 100% need your phone, turn it onto airplane mode. And then you're not going to have any notifications that will bother you. Or if you can't use airplane mode, try to turn as many notifications for as many apps off as possible. There is no need to know when somebody liked your Instagram selfie, because when your phone vibrates or you hear the ringtone and you check your phone, what happens is that will sap your flow state. And scientists have concluded that, I believe it's 11 minutes. Once you lose a flow state, it takes you 11 minutes to get back into that flow state. So if you get a notification, you've just lost 11 minutes. So if you're constantly getting notifications when you should be studying code or when you should be building projects, you are greatly reducing the effectiveness of your studying, and you're wasting a lot of time in that process. Finally, the final reason, number 10, the final way you're wasting time, rather, the final way. Number 10 is spending too much money. What? Time is money, right? Time is money? What is it? What are you talking about? What I'm saying here is time is money in a way, because when you spend money, that leads to time obligations. So if you are spending money on things you don't really need, you have some kind of designer handbag, or you buy these expensive kicks, well, let's say your current salary is $15 an hour. Let's assume that, just for simplicity, that's $15 an hour net after all taxes and whatnot. If you buy shoes that are $150, you've obligated yourself to 10 hours of work. That's more than a day of work for buying those shoes. That's one full day and kind of like 1.25 day of your life that you can no longer spend learning to code. Or if you rent a very expensive apartment, for example, if your rent is $900 versus $600, I guess in the US it's not that expensive. If your rent is $3,000 versus $1,500, that could be a huge amount of time that you have to spend working, and by spending a lot of money, you create a big obligation on yourself to produce money now, to get money in this moment. And the more you have to work at your construction or your retail job or whatever job you may have that's, if it's not related to code, and you have to spend a lot of time there, that's less time that you're going to have available to learn to code. And while I get it that we don't want to go live in the crack house, it is good to be mindful about the way you're spending your money. That way, you don't create unnecessary obligations on yourself. You're not throwing money out the door that forces you to work lots of hours, and then you have less time to do what you've defined as important, and which is learning to code. So, I hope you found this video useful. I hope it helps you waste less time and be more successful with learning to code. Again, my name is Cameron Chardukian. This is the Daily Developer Show. We do this every single day. So I hope that you subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video tomorrow.